name's Izzy. This is Rolling Virtual Cards, coming at you with another Commander deck build. This time we got, I want to say it's Erestor of the Council. This is 1 green, blue for 2/4 legendary creature, Elf Noble. Whenever players finish voting, each opponent who voted for a choice you voted for creates a treasure token. You scry X, where X is the number of opponents who voted for a choice you didn't vote for. Draw a card. So, let's break this down into the parts. So, you play a card that lets you vote, okay? Whatever it says, vote for this, okay? Now, each opponent who voted for a choice you voted for creates a treasure token. So, if they choose the one you want, right? Okay, if you say, hey, I'm voting for this, and they all follow suit, you're going to be drawing, or they're going to each make a treasure. So you're politicking with your commander itself. You're literally saying, hey, if you vote for what I'm voting for, the thing I want, look at this. You guys get a treasure. So you're bribing them. Literally, it's a bribe. Now, if an opponent doesn't, you get to scry X. X is the number of opponents who voted for a choice you didn't vote for. So if you're playing a 4-player game, and you say you're voting for this, and 2 people follow suit, and 1 doesn't. Okay, the one who doesn't, you'll scry 1, and then you get a draw card. Regardless of anything, every time you do a vote, you draw a card. That's very strong. Okay, very strong indeed. Now, there's a lot of reasons why you might want to play this commander. Here's my kitty cat, guys. Mainly politics. Again, just like the last commander I did, any commander that works on voting is really political. Erestor can work in similar ways where you can run some cloning effects, because you'll get constant effects, like the Erestor effect will multiply, so you'll draw a card for each one. But I find that unfortunately that gives your opponents too much ramp, so I've avoided running clones in my testing. Because like if you make a copy of Erestor, every time you vote, each opponent, if they all agree with you, they're going to be getting 2 treasures, and you don't want them to have 2 treasures for agreeing. That's not great. Yes, you'll draw 2, and if you disagree, you scry even more, but it's not worth it. So you want to stay away from that, but you do want to vote. You want every single possible vote card in your deck, so you can draw cards and you can play with it and have some fun. This is a very fun commander. It is not strong, but it's fun. So play it if you're looking for a commander that lets you draw, so you get card advantage regardless of the outcome of the vote. And you can play a little bribery. So that's good. So let's go over it. So we got ETBs. Now, if you're wondering why we have ETBs in this one, it's because there's a lot of vote cards that have an ETB effect, and so you want to flicker them. Okay, so we're going to go over these ETBs and why they're here. Coiling Oracle is just a great ETB card. No matter what, you're drawing a card, and you might get a land drop for free. So it's ramp and it's card draw. Farhaven Elf is just going to ramp you. You're going to go grab a basic land, put it on the battlefield. Spring Blue Druid, you're going to sack a land, and you're going to go grab another land. And you're going to put 2 basic lands on the battlefield tapped. Wood Elves, you're going to go grab a forest onto the battlefield. Archaeomancer is great because you can just retrieve an instant sorcery from your graveyard. So it's great recursion, and that's good because a lot of times that recursion is going to be grabbing you another vote card. Gladriel, Elven Queen, this is a vote card. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if another elf entered the battlefield under your control this turn, hence the flickering, so it doesn't have to be it, you want to flicker a different elf. Under your control this turn, starting with you, each player votes for Domain or Guidance. If Domain gets more votes, the ring tempts you, then you put a 1/1 counter on your ring bearer. If Guidance gets more votes, or the vote is tied, draw a card. So, here, simply, you choose which one you want, okay? So, you can tell them, hey, I'm voting for Domain, because you want to put a 1/1 counter on your ring bearer, and you want the ring to tempt you. Because it's a good card to have that. The ring is strong. The final version, the final part of it can be very good. You can get some card advantage off of it, and buffing it can be strong. On the other hand, guidance is a draw, so um, you can just say, "Hey, I want to be able to draw a card," and everyone agrees, and they get ramp, and you get to draw 2 cards, one off your commander, and one off Gladriel. Solemn Simulacrum, simple land grab. If it dies, you get to draw a card, but the ETB here is that land grab. Spark Double. This one can become a copy of Erestor if you really want that card draw, but normally it's just going to come in as a copy of whatever is the best ETB here on the field. A Timeless Witness is this. It's just another grab a card from your graveyard. Very strong right there. Just whatever you need back in your hand, grab it, use it again, and you can eternalize it later. Surdane, the Shipwright's one of my favorite. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, each player secretly votes for a player. Then those votes are revealed. Each player draws a card for each vote they received. Each player who received no votes may put a permanent card from their hand on the battlefield. So what's cool about this one is it is secret, but you can still tell them who you're voting for. And then you secretly vote. So what that means, and I've got to go over this to clarify this, okay? Secret versus not secret votes, okay? A not secret vote works like this. You play the card, and it goes in player order. So you vote first. I'm voting, in this case, Gladriel. I'm voting dominance, okay? What are you voting? Well, I want the land, so I want treasure, so I'm gonna go with dominance. I'm gonna go dominance. I don't need the treasure, and I don't want to give you dominance. So, well, actually, at that point, there's no point because it's not going to break a tie. But you get the point. They can disagree or agree, and it goes in that. Secret vote means I can, before you vote, you can say, "Hey, by the way, I am voting for them. Anyone who agrees with me, vote for them." Okay? Then you all write it down and you reveal. Right? You know, this person, that person. You all reveal at once. This is who we voted for. Or technically you go in order still, but you write it down first. So you cannot change your order based off of what you saw before. Whereas otherwise you could change it based off what you saw before. That's the difference. You don't get, one is you write it down before, the other one is you can go in order and choose what you want. So that's how that works. This is just a very strong vote card, because no matter what, you're either going to get a lot of draw or not. You can vote for yourself, and then they all want treasure, they're going to vote for you. They all get something free out, and you get a bunch of draw, which can be useful. So, useful, good, strong, triggers off attacks, ETBs. Elrond of the White Council, I just released this deck yesterday. When it enters the battlefield, each player secretly votes for Fellowship or Aid. Then those votes are revealed. For each Fellowship vote, the voter chooses a creature they control, and you can control that creature, except it gains the effect this creature can't attack its owner. And then for each aid vote, you put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. This card's just busted. It's one of the best vote commanders out there that has the vote effect. Super strong. Making duplicates this is fine. Duplicating Seedry is better with like Spark Double because it triggers off attacks, so you can keep attacking with them. But both are great, just really strong, independent vote ETB cards. Messenger Jays is just another ETB vote card. When it enters the battlefield, starting with you, each player votes for Feather or Quill. Put a 1/1 counter on Messenger Jays for each Feather vote, and draw a card for each Quill vote. For each card drawn this way, discard a card. Simply put, if you run a really big Messenger Jays, you tell everyone you're voting for Feather. And then they're like, yeah, what's wrong? We'll vote for Feather. And then all of a sudden, like, it's got 4 counters on it, and it's a 6/5. But if you want draw, which is more likely, but also for each card drawn this way, you discard a card. So you do cycle them, so it's not the best. But a really big Messenger Jays can be very good. And then Orchid Elemental is another just simple vote card. When it enters the battlefield, starting with you, each player votes for Sprout or Harvest. Put 2 1/1 counters on it for each Sprout vote. You gain 3 life for each Harvest vote. If you need life, just tell everyone you're choosing Harvest, and they'll all choose Harvest to get that treasure, and all of a sudden you'll be getting 12 life. But if you want a really big for a 10-10, do that. So yeah, that's that. Some of the votes aren't the best. Measures in J and Orchid Elemental aren't the best vote cards. They are commons, but they're very strong. ETB enablers. Again, enablers literally just means cards that allow you to ETB. Essence Flex flickers and gives their ETB. Nephila Smuggler, you can pay 4 to flicker something. Planar Incursion flickers something, comes back with a 1/1 counter. If it's a spirit, comes back with a 1/1 counter for Essence. Saren Ruse flickers it, and then if it's a pirate, you draw a card. Teferi's Time Twister flickers it, and then if it's a creature, it comes back with a 1/1 counter. Blur flickers it, you draw a card. Displacer flickers 2 things. Ghost Flicker flickers 2 things. A reminder, Flicker means it exiles it and returns it. Blink means it exiles and returns it at the end of turn. Mimic Bat is a great way to just constantly get stuff. If something like Cerdin or Elrond dies, or Spark Double is such a great card to work with Mimic Bat, you can just pay 3 and keep getting it back. And the reason why Spark Double is so good is because you can choose the best ETB on the field and just go boom, boom. Each turn, pay 3, just get it. And it's not sorcery only, so you can do it at your opponent's instep or something and just get good stuff. Very strong, great way to get some ETBs out each turn. Displacer Kitten, absolutely fantastic way to flicker stuff whenever you're casting on a creature spell. Works on your opponent's turn, works on your turn. Your turn to the battlefield right away. Very strong way to get some good ETBs, accidentally even. Panharmonicon is going to double the ETBs, which is going to double the vote triggers, which will double the draws and the other effects. Then you have something like the reason you'll see Spark Double and stuff like that here is because it does enable ETBs because it chooses something, enabling the second ETB of them. Thassa's Dweller just flickers them at the end of turn, and Deadeye Navigator allows you to flicker it by paying 2, allowing you to get like just 2, 2, 2, and constantly doing this stuff. Very useful. I wish you got the treasures off of this because then that would be an infinite off of it if an opponent agreed with you. Archmage's Ermitus. This is Magecraft. It's here because you're running a lot of instant and sorceries to flicker stuff, so you might as well draw cards off of those instant and sorceries. By the way, when you see Magecraft in my videos, I use it for any of the things. Like, technically speaking, Displacer Kitten would have Magecraft on it. I know it's not technically Magecraft, but I name it Magecraft just because it's simpler. It's something that triggers when you cast like a non-creature spell or an instant sorcery or something. Ramp. This is just your plain ramp package. Birds taps for any color. Elvish taps for green. Elvish, Feindor, and Landor Elves all tap for green. Soul Ring taps for 2 colorless. Utopia, Swallow, and Wild Growth both tap for green or a color of your choice, respectively. But they have to be enchanted a forest or a land. Arcane taps for anything. Farhaven Elf grabs a basic land and puts on the field. Model of Unity. Whenever players finish voting, you and each opponent who voted for a choice you voted for may scry to. So that also pushes them to want to do that. And then it also just taps for any color. So it's a great ramp spell for vote decks. Spring Bloom Druid is just a ramp. I explained that one earlier. Same with Wood Elves. Path of Amethyst, Animist is cool. So it's a sorcery, and you get to search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. But it has Will the Planeswalker. This vote is pointless unless you're playing Planeswalk. Starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalker Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more votes, you Planeswalk. If Chaos gets more votes, or the vote is tied, Chaos ensues. If you're not playing Planeswalk or playing Chase, you still get the vote. Nothing happens, but it still triggers the voting for the for your commander. Solemn's Simulacrum, again, I explained that earlier. It's just another land. And Travel Through Karados is interesting. It's another vote. Starting with you, each player votes for Redhorn Pass or Mines of Moria. For each Redhorn Pass vote, you search your library for a basic land card, put it in the battle tab. If you search your library, this way shuffle. For each Mines of Moria vote, return a card from your graveyard to your hand. Very strong 6-drop. You're going to play it later when you know you have cards in your hand graveyard that you want to return. And then you can only play it once because it gets exiled. But very strong vote card. Recursion. You have a lot of recursion because you want to be able to get those vote cards back into your hand and recast them. Flood. Return instant sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. Exile it. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Proliferate. That proliferate means nothing. You're just returning something. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand. This one, return target card from your graveyard to your hand. Why is this not in... Yeah, it did not have ETB. I gotta put that on here. There we go. But yeah, it's another ETB. Just pop it back into your hand. Archaeomancer is the same thing. Just grab an instant sorcery, put it back in your hand. Sail into the West. This one's fun. Starting with you, each player votes for return or embark. If return gets more votes, each player returns 2 cards from their graveyard to their hand. Then you exile Sail into the West. If embark gets more votes, or the vote is tied, each player may discard their hand and draw 7 cards. They do not have to discard their hand, but you can cause this to be a wheel of choice, meaning if you have no cards in hand, you really want to do that. Or you can really push for that, I need cards back in my hand. Timeless Witness is just another return a card from your graveyard to hand, and travel 3 corridors I just explained. Again, lands, I don't care about. Figure it out on your own. You could literally just run all basics if you want, but this is what I'm looking at here. Vote. Here are the vote cards. We'll go over the ones we haven't gone over yet. Illusion of Choice. You choose how each player votes this turn. Draw a card. This can just break the game with something like Expropriate. So, Split Decision. Choose target instant sorcery card or sorcery spell. Starting with you, each player votes for Denial or Duplicate. If Denial gets more votes, counter that spell. If Duplicates get more votes, or the vote is tied, copy the spell. You would choose new copies for that card. This is great because you can just work with people. Go, hey, I can counter the spell. We just have to work together. Sure, counter. And then 3 of you choose counter. They get treasures. The one who you're countering won't. Or maybe he will because he knows it's going to be countered. So why not choose and get treasure? Model of Unity. Again, this is the Scrying 2-1. Trap. The Trespasser. Each player secretly votes for a creature you don't control. Then those votes are revealed. For each creature with 1 or more votes, put that many stun counters on it and tap it. So you can work with an opponent to 2 of your opponents to stun a really big creature so that they're tapped and can't do it. Or you can work to like freeze down an opponent's field. Like you choose 1 and then they choose 2 and they're going to choose another one. But that way you lock down their field, then you can all get in and kill them. Or take them out. Corrosive Portal is such a cool card. At the beginning of your upkeep, starting with you, each player votes for Carnage or Homage. Homage. If Carnage gets more votes, sacrifice it and sacrifice Corrosive Portal and destroy all non-land permanents. If Homage gets more votes, or the vote is tied, draw a card. So either I draw a card or everything's gone. And since I'm okay with everything being gone, it's a fun board wipe. That just kills everything off. We went over Gladriel, Path of Animus I went over, Plea for Power. Starting with you, each player votes for Time or Knowledge. If Time gets more votes, take an extra turn after this one. If Knowledge gets more votes, or the vote is tied, draw 3 cards. I tend to like draw 3 cards normally, unless I know I can win the following turn. Draw 3 cards usually means that's like 3 deeper instead of an extra turn, which is 1 deeper. We went over Sail to West, and Sardin, and Aileron, and Messenger. Path of the Enigma. Target player draws 4 cards. You target yourself, and you draw 4 cards. Just be worried that it says target player, so someone can redirect it. But starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalker Chaos. It's another one of those. Well, the Planeswalker, again, this triggers your vote, Commander, but it doesn't actually mean anything unless you're playing a Planeswalker deck. We went over Orchid Elemental. Selvala Stampede. This is fun. Starting with you, each player votes for a wild or free. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card from your for each wild vote. Put those cards onto the battlefield. Then shuffle the rest of your library. You may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield for each free vote. So if you don't want to play this card if you have no cards in hand, because they're just gonna all choose free. And so once you have a bunch of cards in hand, which your commander helps you keep and keep getting more, then you can play Selvala Stampede and like get a bunch of stuff out for free. Usually usually the right choice for people is wild, so you don't get to choose what you get. And Expropriate, the best vote card ever made. It's only $19 right now, which is a steal. That'll probably go back up. But starting with you, each player votes for time or money. For each time vote, take an extra turn after this one. For each money vote, choose a permanent owned by the voter and gain control of it. Exile, Expropriate. Literally, Illusions of Choice plus Expropriate means you can just take 4 turns, which will win you the game. Draw engines. We went over Archmage and Corrosive and Plea for Power and Sail. It looks like we went over all these. So yeah. 8 cards that draw you cards. Because your commander draws your cards, I'm okay with that. Normally I would like more, but again, since your commander's drawing your cards, it's okay. Interaction. We have a lot of interaction. A lot. Okay, I like a good interaction, and some of these are cards you've seen. We went over Essence Flux. These cards, all these flickers, are interaction because you phase out, or you exile them and then they return. So if someone targets your creature, you can flicker them. The effect fizzles. The spell fizzles, and then they come back. And you get an ETB on them. So don't waste these cards. Use them like as protection, and then flicker something at your opponent's end step right before your turn. That's how useful it is. Nature Claim pops in an artifact or enchantment. We went over Smuggle, Pugnify, and Rapid Herbization are basically the same card. Pop a creature, give them a 3/3. Arcane Denial, it's a good counter spell, which also will draw you a card. But it counters any spell, and that's what I like. I like hard counters in casual. Counter spell's a hard counter. Hard counter meaning it counters anything, not just only creatures or only instants and sorceries or something like that. Heroic Intervention is great protection. This just stops your creatures from dying. Lightning Greaves is good protection on your commander. Planar Incision protects a creature. Reality Shift removes, exiles a creature, and then they manifest the top card, which can actually be detrimental to them. Return to Nature pops an artifact, enchantment, or exiles a card from Graveyard. Siren Ruse and Split Decision. Siren's Ruse is another protection for a creature. Split Decision is a counter spell or a copy. Swift Boots is just like Lightning Greaves, it's just more protection for your commander. So you can keep drawing. Teferi's Time Twister's protection for a creature. Beast Within pops anything. Again, gives them a 3/3. Blur, Displacer, and Ghostly Flicker are all protection for creatures. Corrosion Grip pops instant or an artifact or enchantment, but it's split second, and the reason I like split second is because they can't stop you from doing it, which is useful, especially against something like Aether Flux Reservoir. Propaganda is just protection. It stops your opponent from hurting you, and it has that interaction because it requires them to pay 2 to do something, so that can affect their choice of doing what they do that turn. Reclamation Sage is a great ETB removal spell. Trap the Trespasser, we went over this one. It's just a great way to stun stuff down. Displacer Kitten, it is protection and flickering because you flicker off of anything, so you can Beast Within something in response to someone targeting your commander or another creature you control, and then Displacer Kitten will trigger, and then you can flicker. You can even flicker itself. And Deadeye Navigator, yeah, you can pay 2 to protect whatever it has, or target itself and protect it. Thassa's Deep Dwelling it's the only mana seek we have in here. Literally, I guess technically Deadeye Navigator itself is a monoseek, because you can just keep paying 2. And monoseeks are good because sometimes you just don't have anything in your hand to do, and these allow you to just keep doing something. Protection. We went over all these cards, but these cards here are all just here to protect your other cards, usually in the form of interaction. So that's the deck. I hope you like it. Great starting off point. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Peace.